first day of the week for worship. No. So what happens if you convert it into a holy day of worship? It is still idolatry. It doesn't matter if it's an object or if it's a day. Anything that man makes for worship, that God did not make for worship, is idolatry. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Now, as we studied last time, God is going to have a people who are faithful to Him, that are going to sigh and cry because of these abominations, this specific one that we've talked about last. Notice Ezekiel chapter 9. Ezekiel chapter 9 and verse 1. Then he called out in my hearing. This is immediately after he describes the group of leaders that were worshiping the sun in the temple of God, by the way. These are the followers of God that are doing this. It's not the pagans. Immediately after that, it speaks about a group who are going to get a seal on their forehead. They're opposite. Notice verse 1. Then he called out in my hearing with a loud voice, saying, let those who have charge over the city draw near, each with a deadly weapon in his hand. And suddenly 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with his battle axe in his hand. One man among them was clothed with linen. I don't have time to prove this, but it's Jesus Christ, who is clothed with linen and had a writer's inkhorn at his side. In other words, something to seal with. They went in and stood beside the bronze altar. Now the glory of the God of Israel had gone up from the cherub where it had been to the threshold of the temple. And he called to the man clothed with linen who had the writer's inkhorn at his side. And the Lord said to him, go through the midst of the city. Which city? Jerusalem. Is this a sealing of God's people, or is it a sealing of the pagans? This is happening among God's people. They're worshiping the sun, but there's a group that don't, and they need to receive a seal. Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. Let me ask you, was there a group that sighed and cried about the abominations and did not participate in those abominations, who refused to worship the sun god? Absolutely. And what did they receive? The mark where? On their foreheads. Is there a mark on the forehead in Revelation? Is it just possible that it has something to do with sun worship? We'll come back to that. Verse 5. To the others he said in my hearing, go after him through the city and kill. Do not let your eyes spare, nor have any pity. Utterly slay old and young men, maidens and little children and women. But do not come near anyone on whom is the mark. Are those who have the mark protected? Yes, they are. And begin where? At my sanctuary, where the religious leaders were, incidentally. So they began with the elders, where the elders who were before the temple. And some people say, Pastor Bor, are you saying that those who received the seal when Nebuchadnezzar came and destroyed the city, they were spared? And those individuals who were committing the abominations, those were destroyed? That's exactly what I'm saying, because this is the Old Testament scenario.